Hello students, this is question time for American National Government, Political Science 111, E59, Bucks County Community College, and the date is April 13th, 2009. We have a few questions that have been sent in by you folks that I wanted to address today, and the first one comes from Lisa Davidson. She was wondering if professional journalists will be phased out with the Internet's ability to make anyone a journalist. The codes of conduct are seriously followed by most professionals, and needless to say, I follow them. However, we all know that we can't believe everything we see on the Internet, and that is a discredit to the profession. Lisa, I believe that journalistic standards are definitely in jeopardy. I think some of you picked up on my pessimism on that regard a little earlier in the course. As newspapers cut back and close, their source networks are in danger of drying up, and that would hinder their signaling function that they carry out, with fewer stringers and so forth around the world to help them out. Accuracy and objectivity, I think, are threatened as well by this. As newspapers stop publishing and or go to the web format, I see fewer and fewer people going into depth in their reading probably, and I have trouble seeing how the websites will generate enough revenue to save them, so the jury's out on whether that'll happen or not. But sorry, I don't have any optimistic feelings about where the journalistic world is going. I don't think that the web is an answer, but hopefully I'm wrong, I suppose. Lisa also wanted to know that does it matter in the long run how much money each interest group have in order to be heard by Congress? The short answer is I think it does. She says she understands money is needed to organize a sound group, but does the money they contribute to candidates of Congress truly support their interests, or does it support the candidate's attractiveness more? She's before said in a previous post that the more money you have, the more you are heard. And Lisa, I think you're right. I think your voice is heard louder when you give more money. There's no question about that. Fortunately, I think, though, that we as individuals are able to contribute to some of the 25,000 interest groups in our country that we feel the most strongly about. And if we give to those, if each of us just picks a few key ones that we're really interested in and gives some of our hard-earned money to them, I think you could find the influence of the interest groups shifting from the elite wealthy down to the middle and the lower classes more and more, and being more representative of what our society is. So I would encourage everybody, whether you're on the right or the left or whatever your main ideas are, I think the most important thing is we have a viable democracy, and that you take part, both by writing your own letters, contacting your own representatives and so forth, and also contributing a few dollars that you can afford throughout the year to a handful of the groups you feel is most strongly about. Jim Krupa had a question about interest groups also. He wants to know if interest groups will take a back seat during Obama's administration. To paraphrase what he said, he felt that a lot of the money for Obama's campaign came from private sources. This is true, more than any other race in history. But I don't think that the interest groups will take a back seat during his administration, despite all the campaign hype about we can do away with interest groups and we're going to have a new way of doing business. I've heard it before. Even with those large number of private contributions, I don't see it overcoming the interest group influence. I don't think they'll be out of the game despite all that hype. I think groups even that disagree with Obama, such as the National Rifle Association, the Gun Owners of America, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the National Association of Manufacturers, National Education Association, the American Federation of Teachers, they've always been very strong, and they'll continue to be really strong. Now, President Obama would, like to hear certain things and not like to hear others, I suppose, but he's a pragmatist, and he knows that he needs the information that everyone can give him, and so he will listen to the interest groups. And I think I think after about 18 months of the administration, you're going to see that the interest group's power will be increasing back to what it has always been. Jim also brought up the question of Thailand, a little bit of comparative government question here. He says, are you following at all the conflict in Thailand? I can't help but think the concept of a tyranny of the majority in their present situation. It seems that Parliament is at odds with an uneducated majority which consistently elects the most corrupt leader in their nation, anyone who promises to give them free money. I also heard they are trying to start a new type of government, maybe a new type of parliamentary system, or maybe something similar to ours. Well, living in the USA, I think we often take for granted our relative stability. Although our system was coming apart in the 1860s, and I can remember in the 1960s we were in danger of going through a similar breakdown, it has held up pretty strongly, and the reason is because that there are peaceful ways to eventually influence the policy-making process. The citizens in the United States do have access. When the access to the policy making breaks down, people form anomic interest groups. You saw it during the anti-war demonstrations of the 60s, the civil rights movement, and of course the abolition movement back in the 19th century. And if these groups become really strong, the system doesn't listen to them, they have protest movements that may even be extremely violent. All the riots in the 60s are another example of that. In order for a government to be viable and healthy, you need to have feedback from the citizens for their energy and information to keep the system functioning properly. And I dare say most countries in the world don't have that. And so we have been spoiled. And once again, our hat is off to those founding fathers that I am in awe of, and you guys probably are as well at this point. So you need the positive energy from the helpful inputs, and Thailand is not there. You cannot rule forever with the barrel of a gun. You can't do it. Mao Zedong might have thought so, but you can see the Chinese system is changing over time, maybe slowly, but it is changing. And lastly, we have a comment from Jim about the overthrowing of Senator Ted Stevens' conviction on fraud, the former senator from Alaska. And Jim feels it was a conciliatory gesture towards a long-standing and honorable senator. And that's what American character is to him. So a comment on Senator Stevens. I'd like to add something to that, and interestingly, the prosecutors that went after the senator are now in trouble for violating his constitutional rights. Well, that's it for today, and the question time. I'd like to have another one in another 6 or 7 days, so if you folks would keep sending me your questions, I'll try to respond to them. Keep those thoughts and comments coming. I hope the course is going well. If you have any questions, just pop me an email. Okay? Have a wonderful day. Bye.